There might be a lot of similarity between electric toothbrushes, but when it comes to their travel cases, they can be worlds apart. Whilst we don't suggest a travel case is a must-have when buying an electric brush, it's certainly a very useful accessory even if you're not a regular traveller. And of course, for those who do travel regularly, it is extremely important. This video will be of most benefit to you. From the thin, cheap and cheerful to the thick, bulky and clunky, through to the slim, protective and utterly brilliant, travel cases do vary considerably. In our opinion, the best travel case available with an electric toothbrush today is the one supplied with SURI 2.0. It holds the toothbrush and a single brush head. It has holes to allow airflow, the toothbrush can be charged inside the case if you so wish, and it has a UV sanitizer built in. All this in a relatively slim and strong form factor with an easy to use magnetic closure. The case supplied with the Philips Sonicare Diamond Clean Prestige 9900 is a close second. It's not quite as feature rich and to some might look the more premium option because of the vegan leather wrap and wrist strap. Unfortunately, to get such a case you will be buying an expensive brush with lots of features you don't need. With these two options you are getting a great travel case and a fab toothbrush too. SURI might not be cheap, but it is a far more justifiable option for the price than the Prestige. If you are looking for more compact cases, ideally suited for backpackers or those travelling extremely light, where weight and size are a priority, the Philips One by Sonicare and the Quip Sonic toothbrushes are ones to go for. Quip's travel case is a few millimeters bigger than the brush itself and doubles up as a wall or mirror mount for your toothbrush. Whilst the Philips travel case doesn't provide complete protection to the brush, it covers the most important areas, keeping size and weight to an absolute minimum. For the vast majority of us, we don't need premium or particularly compact cases. A basic plastic moulded case is perfectly sufficient. The main purpose of the case is to protect the toothbrush bristles from damage and to prevent the toothbrush from being turned on, whilst also stopping the contact between toothbrush and other items we might have in our bag. And lastly, to some degree, we want the case to protect the brush should it be dropped. Few cases fail to do most of this, but the cases are of varying quality, usability and design. It is also a bit hit and miss as to what cases come supplied with what toothbrush. Sometimes a brand will include them by default, in other instances there are different versions of the same toothbrush, one supplied with and one supplied without a case. And to make things difficult, prices can vary too. I'd often suggest paying up to around £10 or dollars more for a case is worthwhile, as it can be a useful accessory. But don't be surprised if you find the variant with the case selling for the same or less money than the variant without. Yes, it makes little sense, but it happens a lot. If you buy a brush without a case or yours didn't come with one, it's sometimes possible to buy travel cases separately. It can be more difficult to source and more expensive, particularly if you want one specific to your model. Generic cases exist, but whilst functional, they are not the best solution in my opinion. Whilst it isn't always the case, excuse the pun, the more you pay for a toothbrush, the more likely it is there will be an option to get a travel case included also. Toothbrush cases don't typically accommodate power cables or charging stands. You have to handle these separately if you need them. I have seen options where a case for the charger is provided, but not the toothbrush itself. Yes, I don't know why either. As a general rule, in my experience, Philips Sonicare offer the best range of travel cases. They are typically pretty slim and lightweight, holding the toothbrush and one brush head. They are of plastic construction and close fairly securely via the plastic mouldings. There is often a hole in the case for ventilation. If you invest in some of the more premium models, the cases begin to allow for a toothbrush to be charged whilst inside. Unfortunately, Philips have played around with different cable connections over the years, from wired-in USB cables, which work quite well, to detachable micro USB and micro C cables. Sadly, a couple of more recent models have reverted to a less common figure 8 power cables. I really can't comprehend why, when USB Type-C is the connection of choice. Oral-B, despite their market dominance, are behind when it comes to travel cases. Whilst functional, they tend to be far bulkier and less travel-friendly. Many Oral-B cases will hold the handle and up to 2 brush heads. This can be useful for couples or families, but the trade-off is the size of the case is physically larger. As an example, a case supplied with the Philips 4100 series is just over half the footprint of the travel case supplied with the comparably featured Oral-B Pro 3000. Oral-B's case durability is okay, with the vast majority being thin plastic affairs. As you go up the range, particularly with the newer IO and older Genius models, the cases are made from thicker and more durable plastics. And with top-of-the-range options, brushes can be charged in the case, but it requires a proprietary Oral-B power cable. Unfortunately, this cable and power adapter configuration is bulky and cumbersome. Oral-B have yet to introduce USB connections on their premium cases. The IO 9 and 10 that allow in-the-case charging are fairly bulky cases and only hold one brush head. If you want a premium toothbrush with a great travel case, Oral-B isn't my recommendation. Most cases are made specifically for that model. Some models use the same chassis design, meaning their travel case for one brush is compatible with another. But if you have a case for a Sonicare 3100, it won't be compatible with the Sonicare Diamond Clean and vice versa, as the handle shape and size are different. Cases are certainly not compatible with brushes from other brands, unless the case is of a very generic design. This is because mouldings in the case are positioned to hold the handle and head snugly as possible. Whilst I haven't intentionally dropped lots of brushes whilst in their cases, I've had a few accidents with them over the years. I've found the plastic cases that clip shut do tend to work best. Cases which are held closed by magnets are nicer to use, but when hitting the ground are more likely to come open and have the toothbrush fall out of the case. In both instances, the case takes the brunt of the fall and any damage. The battery life of a lot of toothbrushes today means charging in the case isn't a necessity, but it's a nice to have. It would be a great option to have such with more affordable toothbrushes that can often have worse battery life, but rarely is this an option. Such provides an alternative charging method and doesn't rely on a charging stand. I'm not a big fan of cases that don't offer any ventilation. It's not an absolute deal breaker, but ideally bristles need to dry out. Toothbrushes are often put in the case wet. A few holes just aid with the drying process compared to those without. Let me know your experience with toothbrush travel cases in the comments below, or if you've got a specific requirement, let me know and I will do what I can to point you to the best option.